was ever a third party that shows can be said.
Hello viewers, how you all doing? My name is Ukela Prince and I'm glad to welcome you to Talk Your Own today. Like I always say, it's a beautiful day. And what makes it so beautiful is also because I have a beautiful damsel in studio today. And she is a presenter. She's someone that is making great impact all over the world. And I'm sure you'll be pleased to meet this delectable woman here in the studio. Ladies and gentlemen, I have with me none less than Ansah.
Hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me. It is a pleasure to be here.
Emma, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine, thank you. It's evident, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Wow. It's nice having you. And meanwhile, you're doing a great job. And we see the work you put on, and you're affecting the world. That's a great one. It's a great one, and we are really pleased. And I'm glad to have you today in Talk Your Own here in the Black Community Canada TV.
Thank you so much. It's truly a pleasure and an honor to be here.
My viewers would love to meet you. So can we meet this delectable presenter? That's all I could say right now, but let her do the rest.
Well, hello viewers. My name is Emma Ansah. I am a media journalist. I work for the African Diaspora News Channel. They're headquartered in Houston, head by Philip Scott. He is the owner-operator. Shout out to Philip Scott, doing wonderful things for the community. The platform I work on, I share with wonderful, beautiful, fellow esteemed colleagues and journalists. We expose injustices in the hopes to end injustices by exposing it. Yeah. We cover topics all over the diaspora. We have journalists in different parts of Africa, and then I'm here in Canada. We have some in the United States, and we all work together. We're a beautiful family. Love every one of them. And I also am a journalist for the Daily Scrum News, located in Jackson, Michigan. It's a digital paper, and they more focus on recording news for Black people, but all positive. So they celebrate the wins of Black people, if you will, and all of the beautiful things that Black people, as we know as a community, do. And so that platform is really what they're about, and I enjoy working for them as well. By day, I'm also an accountant, and I'm also a PR representative. Wow. Making sure that I promote businesses, Black-owned businesses primarily, helping them build their brands and expose them to different organizations, companies, media. So, yes.
Your profile speaks volume already, right? So,
pardon?
Your profile speaks volume.
Oh, thank you. And I love every bit of it.
Oh my God. So, Ansah, today we will be looking at strengthening community bonds.
Yes.
And collaborative community building, as well as advancing social justice.
Yes.
My oh my.
And it's a topic.
Is it a topic? Tell me about this.
Which one? We want to start with the first one?
Let's start with the first one.
So that was?
Strengthening community bonds.
Well, so how can we strengthen community bonds?
Yes. What's I want your description on it, because most people wondering, community bond. I'm just wondering in Canada, strengthening community bonds, right?
Well, I mean, strengthening the community bonds as it relates to the Black community involves, well, community is the key word, right? Yes. And so what as we as a community, as a collective, can we do to strengthen our bond? There is a lot of division in the Black community. And so the first thing we have to do is come together. And that is a challenge. Now, when I talk about other communities, we see how they build and they have a bond. When you look at the South Asian community, for example, or the Asian community, you see how they build. They're constantly building, they bond, they have their subset of areas where they are strong, and that's what we need to do. And how do we do that? We need to pool all of our strengths together, all of our talents together. And so we look at it and then we say to each other, here's what we can do with all of our strengths, bond together, build together, and then continue to build and create that generational wealth for our children. If we think about it, we're not always going to be above ground. The children and the youth are our future. So what example can we set while we're above ground? And what the example is coming together as a community, pooling all of our talents, our strengths, and building.
I would, before I actually delve more into most of the things, questions I want to bring to you, I'm looking at you also a community person.
Yes.
So actually, what actually inspired you, for the work you do in the community and in the aspect of social justice? So, could you say something about that as well?
Well, I grew up in the suburbs of Quebec. And I grew up in an area where we were the first and only Black people. And we're Ghanaian. So we were the first and only Black Africans in that area.
Well,
and with that community didn't want us there. So growing up in the suburbs of Quebec in the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, we went through a lot of anti-Black racism. And it was not covert, it was overt. And we had to fight to get the respect. And it involved years of fighting. I'm talking over a decade of fighting, constant fighting. And so growing up now and being an adult and seeing that nothing is really changing in that area, I was very inspired because we loot, we march, we hold signs up, we say Black Lives Matters, and that's all great if we want to do that, but what else can we do, right? And I always found myself asking, what else can I do? Because at the end of the day, we do all of those things, but nothing really changes. We do all of those things, but we still don't seem to be inspired as a community to find another way to build and to eradicate and to help each other, right? And so I was inspired through my experience, my lived experience. So then when I was provided this platform, I mean, say less. There's never a shortage of coverage, of reports.
Some people would actually be wondering what you're talking about is in Quebec, where you grew up. Somebody will be, in a civilized nation as this.
Oh, trust me, this is said all the time. I didn't realize that. Really, that happens? You went through that? I didn't know.
Wow. Okay. Let me ask on a few of the things I want to talk about on strengthening community bonds. As more like an advocate that you are. Okay. So, what initiatives actually can the local governments, how can they implement to foster community engagement and social cohesion?
Well, it will start with some sort of legislation. We have a lot of different anti-this and anti-that legislations that the government provides, but there isn't one for our community, okay? There is legislation and there's protection for other communities, but not for us. So it will start there, okay? The government loves to say, we give grants and we give you this and we do all of this work, but we're not seeing this work. So it starts with legislative. It starts with giving those opportunities to the Black community that other races of people have. Those are the two main things. But first and foremost, it starts with implementing a law, okay, that prevents the kind of discrimination and things that we as a Black people go through. And once we have that will set the tone for our community.
This nation celebrates Black History Month.
Yes.
A whole month dedicated for that.
Yes.
So, when we talk about legislation, and I'm wondering, a nation that, tries as much as talks about inclusivity and diversity and all that. So, with what I see the government doing, making sure that the blacks are celebrated? When you mentioned the grants, there are some grants that are special for the black people.
Yes.
What more can this?
But they come with
what more
conditions.
can be done?
Well, first of all, let's just talk about Black history. It's 28 days in a month.
Yes.
You can't cover the amount of history for Black people in 28 days. There's also Pride Month. There's also Heart Health Month. There's so many different things that are dedicated. A month is dedicated to. Okay, so that's great, but within that Black History Month, what are they really doing for us? Yes, they're allowing us to share the history, but is it in the schools? Is it in institutions? When you go to institutions, you'll see a sticker that says, "We embrace everybody," but it's a pride flag. There have been many organizations that don't allow Black people to wear anything that says Black Lives Matter or Black History. You're not allowed to wear that. So what really are we doing over those 28 days? And as far as the grants go, the grants come with conditions.
I think all grants do.
Yes, they do. But the grants for Black people will say you have to earn a certain amount of money. Your business has to have earned a certain amount of money before you qualify for that grant. So that's great that there's a grant, but we're not the only ones that are taking advantage of that grant. Just so.
Okay. All right. No. Now, this is a very diverse, let me use the word community, right? And the blacks, when you look at the population, you know that the black population is growing.
Yes.
Right. And we have our culture over certain things and all that. So there's a place for adaptation. Now, I would love to ask, how can community events and festivals promote cultural or cross-cultural understanding and inclusivity?
Well, we do have a lot that are doing that now. We do. We have, for example, AWA, African Women Acting. They do an annual festival. And with that festival, they have all different cultures across the diaspora that bring their specialties, and whether it be food and clothing and artifacts and jewelry and the music and it's the atmosphere. It's beautiful. And to me, if we had more of those things, where we are allowing for people to see all of the different cultures and all of the different ethnicities, and all that we have to offer, all of the riches and resources, then that would be a wonderful thing. But that is one in particular that comes to mind that does it and does it beautifully. So if we had more of those kinds of things across the year, that would be a great start.
Does the schools have any role to play in building community relations?
Absolutely, because you have specific races of people in schools, and it's multiracial, right? So if schools would also offer those kinds of programs where they're whether it be after-school programs or summer school programs, or even part of the curriculum, that would be wonderful. So the role that schools can play is making sure that they educate everybody about all of the different cultures. And I think that would help to eradicate a lot of the anti-Black racism that goes on in schools, because there's plenty of that.
Wow. That's interesting, right? Okay, I think I'm looking at, are there strategies that community leaders, because in a nation as this, now when we talk about community relations, so we also look beyond the Black. We talk about the Indians and all that, and all that. So what strategies can community leaders use to empower marginalized voices? Well,
they can start with town halls, for example. And by when I say town halls, and like to your point, you're saying that other diverse, races of people, if we had town halls, weekly meetings, where we have a group of leaders from all different walks, and when I say that, I don't only just mean race-wise, I mean demographic. So we can have like elders, right? That are like 65 and over, that have the lived experience and the wealth and have been through, the trenches and successful, and that can pour into our community and educate and encourage. So if we had, even if it was once a month or every quarter, where we had these summits, massive summits, and we have all of the elders, professionals in accounting, law, media, like yourself, all together pooling and having panels where we're educating and networking and, just showcasing and sharing resources.
Now,
the sky's the limit.
What about the area of community collaborative projects? Looking at such things happening around to make sure that there is this bonding, inequality is also addressed, possibly poverty. So what's your take on that?
As far as what we can do?
Yeah, I'm talking about collaboratively to have a community project.
Well, it starts again if we were all to be able to create some sort of summit.
Is that possible?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
Why are we not doing that?
That is the burning question. Why aren't we doing that? And it starts with us, right? Like I said, we see so many other communities doing it. And it's not to say that those communities don't have challenges. We just don't see it. We see building. So we have to get out of this mentality that we live with, because when you think of Tulsa, for example, or Africaville, I'm going to start with Tulsa. Tulsa,
right,
had what they called Black Wall Street. The white people did not allow black people to be able to build any businesses or even be in their establishments. So they created their own. They had all of the major infrastructures like banks, hospitals, schools, all of that. They were thriving. Every business was owned and operated by black people. And the white people didn't like it. So they came and they burned it down. Okay, so anybody can Google the Tulsa Race Massacre and you'll get the story. Same with Africaville. This is in Nova Scotia. In the late 1800s, we had a group of black people that came out of slavery, and they were in a subset of northern Nova Scotia, and they called it Africaville. They did not get garbage pickup. They had no sewage. They were not given any of the amenities that the white people were given. But they still managed to build. And you know why? Because they came together and they said, you know what? You're good at this, you're good at planting, you're good at growing, you're good at watering, you're good at cooking, you're good at... And they created a community for themselves. They didn't like it. So what they did was they came and bulldozed the entire community, put them all on dump trucks and drove them out. My point is that we are capable of doing it. But what we have to first do is change our mindset. And the mindset is that we are still trapped in that slave mentality. And once we get out of that and get out of our own way and be able to look at each other and share in what we have.
So if I may get you correctly, it means we are also our own trouble. We
are.
All right. Viewers will be right back. And when we come back from this break, we'll be talking about social justice. And let me also announce to you that we'll be having one of the music stars in this nation of Canada, and is the one we call Carlos Morgan. Carlos Morgan will be joining us in the next section as we come back. Don't mind her.
If there is ever a third party that shows JFK can be said.